we are finally to the second round of Mini Monster Madness. There's been a lot of crazy matchups. A lot of them have went the way that I thought. There have been some that have been a surprise. In today's matchup, we have George versus Ralph. In this matchup, we actually have a rematch of a fight that we actually already saw. We did see George and Ralph fight in Rampage. We did see them fight very briefly, and it did look like Ralph was going to win in that battle. If The Rock's character didn't step in, probably would have won. But we are going to look at this matchup as if they were going to fight again. And so in this matchup, Ralph is standing at right around 30 feet tall and 9 meters, while George is standing at right around 31 feet tall and 9 meters. In this matchup, Ralph's weapons coming into battle include the claws, the bite, the spikes, the porcupine type spikes, and the gliding ability, while George's weapons coming into battle include the bite, the brute strength, and the use of the environment to just be able to use anything around him at any time. Now, the most impressive feat for Ralph is conveniently defeating George. Essentially, in that battle, did get George to the position where he was going to go in for a final kill potentially. Don't know if that would have really killed George at all, but The Rock's character had to step in and help, and George's best feat includes killing Lizzie. And so the circle kind of just keeps going back around, because Ralph almost killed George, but George killed Lizzie, and Lizzie killed Ralph. So I think that any of these monsters fighting each other on any given day could win or lose depending on how it goes out. But breaking this down, Ralph does get feats, because Ralph was ultimately able to beat George. Essentially, when George beat Lizzie, killed Lizzie, it was a surprise attack. Someone else, so feats have to go to Ralph. The size does go to George, because George is a little bit taller. From my measurements, it is a foot, maybe less, so not that big of a difference, but is slightly bigger, not only in height, but also width. The speed and agility has to go to Ralph, because Ralph can fly. That gives him that extreme speed and agility. Gliding makes a big deal and can make a big difference in whatever environment they're in. Now, the durability I put in the middle, because I don't think the durability is crazy stronger for either of these two. We've seen Ralph get his head ripped off. I think the same would have happened to George. George gets stabbed through the body, but they both came from the same canister of mutant DNA. So I think for their strength would be very similar, and their durability would be very similar as well. But the final thing is weapons. Now, I know George can make a weapon out of anything, but Ralph comes into battle with a very tough set of weapons on him. Not only the wings, the gliding ability, and the sharp teeth, but the porcupine type spikes is just a weapon that he has on, and it goes with everything else. And because he has those weapons coming into battle, it just gives him another advantage in this fight. And so breaking this down, ultimately that previous fight does have a big impact, because the fact that Ralph was able to stand off against George, take him down, almost get him to the position where he was going to take a final bite to his neck before he needed help, really helps me in this decision. But just looking at this statistically, I would pick Ralph to win this battle, because yeah, George is very tough, he can use his weapons, he killed Lizzie, but that was ultimately a surprise attack. And I think that Ralph has a lot more weapons, is tougher, and just does more. And so ultimately I think that Ralph would win this fight. He did it before, and he would be able to do it again. And I do think he would win this fight more often than George would. But make sure you let me know down below who you think will win in this matchup, and who will move on to the final four. I know it's kind of crazy these two were lined up for this matchup. I didn't do this on purpose, it was completely random. But once again, let me know who you think will win and who will move on to the final four, the first final four spot of Mini Monster Madness. Make sure you let me know down below, and thanks for watching.